helpful, make it inspirational, and make it more convenient for people to go green. So I was very happy. We grew very quickly. We've done close to 100 million page views to date, so around 50 million people have come to the site. We have over 20,000 articles, and we post on from around the world on architecture and transportation and fashion and food and all sorts of things. We have a team of around 50 people, many of them part-time. So adding 30, 40 articles to this 20,000 article archive. So you can search on Tree Hugger and find pretty much anything. So Discovery approached us last year. We became part of their Plantet Green initiative. And it was just a perfect fit. Discovery's been focused on the planet and just some fantastic programming for over 20 years. And they really wanted to make a push into green. They saw us as a good way to start. And so it's basically four components. treehugger.com, which is all about global green news. And we've launched a site called Plantet Green. So it's plantedgreen.com. That's all about action. So if any of you are interested in going green, basically there's any category of your life, you can go in there and find really action-oriented articles on how to go green. So it's a really great resource, and the two work very well together. We also have a channel, which you've seen a few of the examples from these guys, and that's launching on June 4th, so very soon. And it is hitting 50 million homes. It's the first eco-lifestyle channel in the world. It's 24 hours, and it is really impressive. I'm sure most of you have seen Discovery's TV shows, and when I started seeing this stuff, I'm not a TV guy, but it was like, oh yeah, of course. Like that Discovery is so good at taking educational content and making it really very early. And some people are going to be greenwashing on purpose. Some people just don't necessarily know. But two things I want to talk about. One is sort of the change in spin control, and two is just sort of green as a criterion. So one of the really neat things about where we are now is the internet. It used to be that companies really could have a certain amount of spin control, and so because the methods of distribution were really limited, they could actually control the message that gets out there. These days, with the internet and with the amount of commenting and rating and blogs, etc., it's very hard to disguise the truth. So the truth essentially rises to the top. So that's a really great thing, and the way I sort of read it is that the good guys win. So you eventually are going to get found out. So I think that's great. In terms of greenwashing, which relates back to the internet, and this, green has become a criterion. I think that's one of the most important things. So once something's a criterion, it's something that gets competed against. So whether it's starting to become like price is looked at, like functionality, like aesthetics, green is starting to become a criterion. And so that's a really great thing. So even if a company does do a certain amount of greenwashing in the beginning, if their competitor is doing a better job, it all sort of helps the whole thing move along in the same direction. So I think that's quite heartening. So I think the internet's a really, really good thing. Good guys end up winning, and I think green becoming a criterion is great. We're very early, so there are not a lot of labeling schemes out there. There are a few, and you can see things like in architecture with the LEED certification is one, and there's some in fashion, there's some in food, and what's that? So I think that the labeling, which is also fraught with problems as well, but I think that will help overall. And I think in general, as a consumer, and I think Sara should definitely add to this, but as a consumer, the internet is very, very helpful. So, you know, going on one of treehugger.com or Plantet Green, you can search, or there are tons of sites out there, and that will give you a sense of things. And I think the labeling will slowly come along, so it'll get easier and easier. But at this point, it just requires often a little bit of legwork.
Yeah, I know we're about out of time, but if I can just add on to this really quickly also. I think that Going back to your question, and maybe part of your question was, because maybe some of you own businesses or you're working within the space, and so how do we make sure our product gets noticed above some of the other ones in this increasingly more crowded space? And so from that standpoint, but also from the consumer standpoint, for all of you who are trying to make decisions about, those things that you purchase every day in your life, be it your food or the paint you put on your wall or the clothes you clothe your children in or the car you drive, any of those things, it's really about the story behind the product. Who are the people? And so if you're a business owner, make sure your story is one that's authentic and has some substance to it. But as a consumer, it's really getting to know those companies that you are supporting. And so really get to know those companies, get to know the people who are making the food. Are they using fair trade practices? Is it, an age-old recipe? Is it a family-run business? Is it a business that gives back to the community or creates scholarships or is investing in local schools or investing in schools across the globe? To really find those companies that have some truth and some substance to them, and supporting them as opposed to just buying a product because it says it's green.